Hello, everyone. Thanks for those who are interested in the National Center for Education Statistics Data Institute. I have been participating this event through online course and in-person format for the past probably half a year. And I have been asked by several colleagues who indicated their interests in learning about my experience of this. And fortunately, I checked with the event organizer of this institute, and they said that I can feel free to share my experience. However, I cannot share anything that's specific in detail. For example, I mean the slides or materials from the Data Institute, but I can generally talk about the structure of this Data Institute as shown on this website. I plan to walk you through this webpage by adding a few of my detail and my personal comments based on my personal experience of this institute. Hope this can help those who are interested in applying in the next cohort. Again, as you can see, my cohort is 2023 and it just ended 2 days ago. So that's June 16th. It's around a half year of experience. I guess the application will open. Let's see let's click the schedule here. If it indicated here. So it doesn't indicate, it doesn't specify the application open day, but I think it's in around late December, as the notification will be sent out in January. I suggest you to subscribe AIR, Association of Institutional Research, their newsletter, as they will send out like information about call for applications there. So I guess let's go back to this page, and like I planned, I'm going to walk you through this webpage to maybe add more information to help you understand this Data Institute better. So the name of the institute, like the general topic, is about using federal data set to support research on post-secondary education. By federal data sets, from my experience, it means two things. First is iPads. iPads, for those who don't know, let's just do a iPads research. iPads. It represents let's see, represents stand for integrated post-secondary education data system. You can look this up by more detail. It has a lot of different surveys that universities have responsibility to report for, including full enrollment, 12-month enrollment of an institution, their financial aid, their finance, admission, HR, like human resource, and library completion of student and outcome, including 4-year and 6-year graduation rates. And I guess retention, distance education. So most of US higher ed, including 4-year, 2-year public or private university, they all have to report to this federal iPads requirement. And so it's like a census data, because it's like almost all institutions are required to report to iPads in order for them to receive governmental funding. So that's the first federal data sets, a series of iPad survey. The second and the last federal data set that this data institute is going to cover is sample surveys, which are NCES. For those who don't know, you can just go to their website. Let's see, their survey. They also have a lot of surveys like BNB, BPS, which are BNB is baccalaureate and beyond. BPS is, let's see here, BPS is baccalaureate and post-secondary, beginning post-secondary student longitudinal survey, BPS. BNB is baccalaureate and beyond. There are a few more that you can learn. You can learn while you are participating in this data institute. So that's the two kind of data sets that you will learn about, and you will also have a group project. Like using one of the data set, you're going to collaborate with your group mates. Usually it's 5 to 6 people per group. And you'll spend a lot of time. Let's see. You will spend 16 weeks together to work on this project. It's like a research project where you have your research question, you have your literature review, you write your method about this survey, whether it's iPads or a sample survey. Like you write about this survey, the variables in the survey you're going to use, the type of method you're going to use. I'll get into details about that, like how to use the data, because it's not all publicly available. iPads is available, as those you may know, you go to their website, you can use their data, while the sample surveys, you can only use the public available version. Maybe later I'll talk more about that. So you finish your method section, you run your analyze using a site called Data Lab. So that's the part that if you are not familiar with, this might be something new you're going to learn from this data institute. So this is the public available version of their sample survey, and they provide this data lab, which means it's someplace you can do your own experiment with the survey data. So you can use this data lab they call it power stats, to run logistic regression, to like by click different variables. You can also do descriptive analysis, linear regression, but it has limitations, as you may already kind of think about, because it's not raw data. You cannot do anything beyond what's available on this data lab. But you can Google on your own and set up an account. It's free to sign up and to enter and explore the interface, and to explore what's possible with the methodology. So that's the 16-week group project. So at the end of that capstone project, your group and all the other group, I believe there were 6 groups in 2023 cohort. So you are all get together in person at DC for a 3-day in-person meeting. By 3 days, actually, you have to arrive on Monday because the in-person meeting starts in the morning of Tuesday. So on Tuesday, there are a bunch of presentations offered by the NCES staff talking about how to obtain the raw data, how to apply a restricted license so that you can use the raw data, and a bunch of other very useful presentation about, like in DC, what are the think tanks, how people make policy around education, what are all the stakeholder, and maybe what skills you may need to do policy and analyze around this. So they invited several kind of leaders in the field and leaders of NGOs, of think tanks, to share their experience, and some alumni of this data institute, and how this experience have helped them to, like, in their career, and also some presentations, like I said, from the NCES staff to talk more about the survey and the overall big picture of how the survey has been used, and the process of maybe budgeting of this survey, and some like behind the scene decision of designing the survey and use the survey and promote the usage of the survey, stuff like that. So that's on Tuesday, a whole day presentation from all kinds of different like very good research, educational research leaders presenting about their like sharing about their experience, I guess. And then on Wednesday, the presentation would be from the 6 groups of the participants. Each group, like I said, they did their 16-week capstone project. They each used 1 or 2 or more data sets and collaborate on 1 or 2 research questions. And they present their idea. And later the NCES staff, usually the survey director, like the data set they use, they will have the corresponding survey director giving comments and feedbacks towards their project. So it's really helpful to gain feedback from someone who really know the survey well. So that's very helpful. So each group present their idea, having feedback, and then they get back together on Thursday. They discuss how they're going to revise their group project, how they're going to take or not take the feedback from the experts from NCES staff. And then they plan next steps. Maybe the group will decide whether they're going to continue this project and turning it into a conference paper, a journal paper, or extend this project into another research project, or like the groups are allowed to stop there. So it's the group's decision to make on Thursday. And after that, it's everyone will get a certificate of completing this data institute, and that's the end of the experience. So let me come back. So on this website, the introduction is that the institution is really ideal for early career professionals. From my experience, this cohort, we have a few, maybe 2 or 3 or even more assistant professors in higher ed. programs at research universities who attended, and several graduate students. And from my understanding, most of them are institutional research professionals. They are IR analysts, directors of IR office, and I do notice there is a assistant vice provost from IR office also participating in this. So although it's early to mid-career, some really advanced people do come. Faculty member, as I said, and other people who are generally interested in educational research. Like I do remember we have one or maybe more participants who are educational analysts at think tanks. So that's I believe 30 participants we have this cohort. That's the people you're going to have in your group, and the other participants you will meet in DC. And as I kind of already talked about I think I've covered the 16-week group project and the 3-day in-person meeting. Maybe I'll also share a little bit about the online course, although it's indeed a little bit distant from now. I cannot remember the details, but it generally is very helpful. The online course is at your own pace, although they do have suggested deadline, like due dates. It's 5 weeks, so they do want you to take your time and like not finish it in one day. It suggests to be a 5-week online course. The course is about the federal data sets, the 2 types of data set, the iPads and sample survey, and you all have some assignment for each week, I believe. It's very helpful, and it's not that hard actually. And you can ask questions. I believe they do set up a Teams channel, Microsoft Teams, that app. They set up a channel. You have your own groups channel, and you have a data specialist channel where you can ask questions. I believe it's not for the online course part. It's more for the 16-week group project part. For example, if you have questions about the data set you are going to use, you can ask questions there. And also the data lab I mentioned. If you are not sure about how to run logistic regression or how to interpret a linear regression, stuff like that, you can ask a question. You can post a question via team post function, and the data specialist will see, and all the other participants will see, as it might be a common question that people may all be interested in. So that's I mentioned a little bit about like the online course, the group project, and the in-person meeting, and also the teams. That's how this data institute will communicate with each other. If you have more questions, you can like email them, and I'm afraid I cannot share too much about like the slides or the material, because I do check with the event organizer and we are not allowed to share the specific slides or the specific page of those online course. What I can share is indeed actually already covered on their website, and you can feel free to go to like AirWeb. There, it is a collaboration between NCES and Association of Institutional Research, and it's free of charge. Although I do maybe need to mention that the DC, the 3-day in-person meeting, you have to, maybe your institution, your university will have found for you. But what I mean is they do not cover your expense, your hotel expense or your travel there. So the only part that may cost money is indeed this 3-day in-person meeting in DC. And as I said, please subscribe to the AIR newsletter as they will announce. the next cohort application, and I encourage you to apply because it's really a good opportunity to learn more about the federal data sets and to try with a group to collaborate and use their data set to do something interesting and maybe something that you can turn into a publication or a conference. And it's a very good opportunity to meet, to network with other people, especially those actually NCES staff or those think tank leaders that like who will give presentations there. And you maybe can expand your network and think about how you want to develop in IR and beyond IR. So I hope that has been helpful. If you do have more questions, if that's something I'm allowed to share answers around, I will respond you. So I mean, please feel free to comment under this video, and when I see your question, and if it's something I'm able to answer or I'm allowed to share, I'll respond you there. Thank you.